ドクター、あんたいっつも神出鬼没なんだよな。ロドスにも隠し通路とかあるんだ。
Before I start, I need to warn you about possible spoilers. I think it is necessary to talk about certain operators in CN to fully explain what Stainless is capable of. Stainless is a 6-star operator that offers a variety of utilities to support other operators. He falls into the Artificer support archetype. Currently, Artificers are the only ground-type support operator, which is most likely the reason why they have the highest HP and defense if compared to the other subclasses within the archetype. Although the operator itself and their devices makes them hungry for DP. Similar to Trapmasters, Artificers come with a deployable unit that doesn't cost a deployment slot, but instead of traps, they are able to deploy support devices which offer a utility depending on the current skill equipped. At most, Artificers are just sub-DPS as they are mainly used for their support. With their decent tankiness, they can also be used to block low-threat enemies. His first talent, Battlefield Engineer, allows Stainless to initially carry 3 support devices. Only a maximum of 2 devices can be active at a time. His second talent, Cost-Saving Measures, provides Stainless 70 to 80% chance to recycle any support device that is destroyed within the 8 tiles surrounding him. His first skill, Extreme Firepower, allows the support device to be deployed on low or high ground tile and provide a small attack increase to the operator in its front tile. When skill is activated, Stainless gains 1 device charge. Additionally, greatly improve the damage of Stainless's basic attacks and device effect for a long duration. When the skill ends, all active devices are destroyed. His second skill, Efficient Resupply, allows the support device to be deployed on low or high ground tile and provide 1 SP every 3.5 seconds to the operator in its front tile. Active devices will lose 0.4% of its maximum HP per second. When skill is activated, Stainless gains a significant attack and defense increase and allows himself to attack multiple enemies equal to his block count for a long duration. Additionally, device effect is improved to provide SP at a faster rate, but the HP loss is doubled. When the skill ends, Stainless gains 1 device charge. His third skill, Feist's Metal Crab Prototype, allows the support device to be deployed on ground tiles and can be attacked by ally operators without taking damage. The device will have its own built-in skill. When activated, deal high physical damage to a target and cause an explosion which deals physical damage in a small AoE. Whenever the device is hit by an ally, it recovers SP. Damage is based on Stainless's current attack stat. Device loses 2.5% maximum HP every time its skill is triggered. When skill is activated, Stainless gains 1 device charge and a buff that significantly increases both attack and attack speed for a long duration. All numbers are assuming Stainless is at his peak operator stats. The first value on his first skill means he is not buffed by his devices, while the second value means he is being buffed by 2 of his devices. The listed DPH for S3 devices is factoring in Stainless's buffed stats. Let's break down Stainless's first skill, Extreme Firepower. Your best skill option if you want to provide a massive attack increase to 1 or 2 operators. The skill is pretty simple to use. Deploy the support device facing towards the operator you want buffed. It will passively increase their attack and significantly provide more attack whenever the skill is activated. Since the devices are destroyed whenever the skill ends, try to position Stainless near his devices so that he could utilize his talent that gives him a chance to recycle them. Stainless S1 dethrones Warfarin's S2 when it comes to providing the highest percentage attack increase in the game. At Mastery Rank 3, 2 devices on 1 operator can provide up to a maximum of 96% attack increase. It isn't that much higher than Warfarin's 90% attack increase, however. The duration is longer by 5 seconds since Stainless's S1 has a maximum duration of 20 seconds. So for example, if you want to fully buff Arketo's S3, which lasts for 20 seconds, Stainless's S1 is the better option. If you want to fully buff Exusiai's S3, which only lasts for 15 seconds, then sticking to Warfarin is the best option. Warfarin's S2 has a slightly faster skill rotation of 60 seconds, while Stainless's S1 skill rotation is 65 seconds. This can be a factor when choosing a buffer that rotates their skill conveniently with another DPS. For example, Poziomka's S3 has a skill rotation of 65 seconds. This means that not only Stainless will buff Poziomka much longer on her S3's duration, but will also rotate both their skills in perfect sync. And when it comes to skill downtime, the devices still provide a decent 24% attack increase, while Warfarin offers nothing else than her healing. Although, it is definitely arguable that Warfarin's ability to heal and her ease of use compared to Stainless makes her much more preferable in the majority of cases. It is important to note that Stainless's S1 can be very hard to set up. While both Stainless and Warfarin have the same base deployment cost of 19, Stainless requires an additional 6 DP to deploy both devices. There is also a 10-second cooldown before you are able to deploy another device, and even at M3, Stainless S1 only has a peak 20 initial SP with a total SP cost of 45. This means you have to set up Stainless much earlier. Even if the devices can be deployed on either low or high ground, they still have to be deployed right beside the operator you want to buff. This causes certain limitations to Stainless depending on the stage. And if you are considering buffing Stainless himself, please do not bother. As you can see on your screen, it only peaks at 1719 burst DPS. Yes, that is also factoring in how he gets a 200% attack scale modifier. Some might argue that it is still a decent number, but if we look at the average DPS, it gets worse. Average DPS peaks at 906, which is due to the horrible skill uptime versus its SP cost. Let's break down Stainless's second skill, Efficient Resupply. Your best skill option if you want faster skill rotations on specific operators also allows Stainless to act as a decent lane holder whenever the skill is active. The skill is pretty simple to use. Deploy the support device facing towards the operator whose SP generation you want improved. When the skill is activated, the SP generation is improved from 1 SP every 3.5 seconds to every 2 seconds. As for Stainless himself, he will have a peak 702 DPS and 738 defense within the skill duration. While the DPS isn't that high, it is enough to handle trash mobs, especially if there are plenty of enemies, since Stainless is able to attack multiple targets based on his block count. His peak defense is also close to a 6-star protector's stats, so if Stainless isn't able to kill the enemy, he could stall them instead. But should you even M3 this skill in the first place? The stats of Stainless under S2 isn't exactly that impressive, so if you are only using it for the SP generation, you can actually leave it at level 7. Leaving it at level 7 means that the total SP cost would stay at 55, and you won't get the extra 5 initial SP, but the SP generation on both skill uptime and downtime is no different than it is at M3. What about possible synergies? The sky's the limit. The operators that synergize with S2's SP generation the most are operators equipped with a skill that uses an offensive or defensive SP recovery method. After all, being required to attack an enemy or take damage to generate SP makes skill rotations very difficult. Some quick examples are Guard Chen, Mudrock, Arketo, Palace, Fiammetta, Irene, etc. But this doesn't mean that operators that utilize a standard SP recovery method cannot take advantage of Stainless's S2. For example, operators that can stock up charges of their skills like Bybeak, Passenger, Poziomka, etc. would allow the S2 devices to restock their charges easily, or have W create a minefield with her S2 faster than usual. Set up traps with Dorothy without having to worry about running out of resonators. You get the idea. Let's break down Stainless's third skill, Feist's Metal Crab Prototype. Your best skill option if you need to pre-charge certain skills that utilize an offensive SP recovery method, or extend your operator's range with anti-air feature, or to burst down extremely tanky bosses with the proper setup. Let's start with its most basic use, using the support devices as a turret. Unlike Stainless's S1 and S2, where the device needs to be facing your operators, S3's device should instead face towards the enemies with a pilot operator. The pilot operator needs to be in a position where the device is in their attack range. This would allow the pilot operator to attack the device, which then generates SP for the device and allow it to fire its skill. You can use as many pilot operators as you want to attack the device, but only the operator directly behind the device would gain a minus 20% damage taken reduction buff. So now that you know the basics, the simplest way to use S3 as a turret is to have an operator stand behind it. Ideally, this operator should have either fast attack speed or is able to hit something multiple times at a decent rate. Each tick of damage over time effects is also considered as a hit, which means that the poison coming from Thorn's and Blue Poison's talent can charge up the device's skill. However, some DOTs are excluded. A quick example would be using a fighter or a swordmaster. Fighters have the fastest base attack speed out of all operators in the game. While swordmasters have 1.3 seconds base attack interval, their basic attacks deal damage twice. Another perk of having a fighter or a swordmaster pilot an S3 device is that it allows them to damage enemies out of their range instead of idling. This brings me to another feature of S3, extending an operator's range. As mentioned earlier, if the pilot operator is a melee, the turret acts as a range extension for them. The DPS won't be amazing, but it is better than idling. The built-in skill of S3 devices can hit aerial enemies, so technically, melee operators who normally would just watch drones pass by would be able to attack them through the device. Since the device cannot be attacked by enemies and can be deployed on ground tiles, this allows certain strategies to deal with awkwardly positioned aerial enemies. A quick example would be the drones at R88. Next, using S3 devices to pre-charge certain skills. This is one of the most common uses of stainless S3. Since the turret's DPS isn't exactly that amazing, you use it instead to quickly charge up skills that normally take a while to fully charge. Quick examples are Thorn's S3, Fiammetta S3, Pozyomka S1, and Chongyue S3. This is pretty straightforward and doesn't need further explanation. Attacking S3 devices to generate SP isn't the only way to take advantage of such a feature. You just need to be creative. For example, agents are known to generate DP by attacking enemies. You can simply let your agent operator attack an S3 device instead to generate DP. Mushas are known for their trait where attacking enemies allows them to heal themselves. Deploying an S3 device in their attack range can serve as an emergency heal. Annoyed at how Horn's S1 cannot reveal invisible enemies unless it hits a nearby enemy first? With Stainless's S3 device, you can simply put it where you want Horn to trigger her S1 and have that area permanently revealed. Want an extremely long-range Arketto? Put one device at the farthest row of Arketto's default attack range, and another device one row beyond Arketto's default range. This would help her charge up her S3 faster, and whenever activated, she would be able to trigger both devices every 2 attacks. Your creativity is the limit. I might have said that Stainless's S3 devices don't exactly have an amazing DPS. This was actually true at least until Chubai got introduced. Chubai's S3 allows herself to hit 2 additional targets and stack up to 104 attack speed increase, which reduces her attack interval to 0.63 seconds. This means that while Chubai's S3 is active, she can hit the boss and keep it bound on a tile through her talent, while also hitting 2 of Stainless's S3 devices at a very fast rate. The result? This strategy was popularly used on CC-12's permanent stage against a stacked Mr. Red. The combination of Chubai, Stainless, Suzuran, and Bard Skadi allowed them to deal enough damage to burst Mr. Red from 50% to 0 HP despite the high risk tags. The total amount of damage it can do is one of the best, if not the best, when trying to maximize the efficiency of a 4-man burst damage strategy. Final tip, any Artificer can repair Stainless's S3 devices by attacking it. Each attack would provide 1% maximum HP heal. Synergy? Again, the sky's the limit. If I were to list every single strategy Stainless could do with S1, S2, and S3, this would never end. Let me teach you a lesson. Overall, Stainless is a very solid operator that provides a variety of utilities which opens up strong, fun, or unique strategies. How good he is will ultimately depend on how creative you are with him and his skills. Should you try to pull or build Stainless if you get the chance? Yes and no. Yes, because of what I've just mentioned. Stainless is very unique and opens up new strategies. No, because unfortunately, the banners after Stainless are some of the best banners, including some limited yet extremely strong meta operators. If you are trying to be resource efficient, it might be best to skip Stainless and save up for some of the future banners. After all, Stainless is not a limited operator. For skill mastery priority, you can simply M3 his S3 and be done with him. S2 doesn't need masteries. S1 is just too annoying to use, just settle with Warfarin's S2. And that's it for now. Like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more content.